Did you know that the very first motor car was 10 times slower than today's cars? You heard that right. The first cars were slow. They could only go up to 10 miles per hour. But the interesting thing is that they were still seen as fast vehicles back then. Why? Well, just think about what kind of vehicles existed before the motor car. It was the horse, and there was no way a horse could pull or push a carriage faster than 10 miles an hour. So, for people living in the mid-1800s, this new invention that could travel at 10 miles per hour was revolutionary. Today, we take it for granted that a car can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds. But it wasn't too long ago that we marveled at cars accelerating like this. So today, we're going to look at the history of the motor car, how it began, who invented it, and how it became the most important invention of the 20th century. Mr. Benz, a German engineer, had a vision of creating a vehicle that would be propelled by an internal combustion engine. He wanted to create something that could travel faster than a horse, something that would change the world. He spent years tinkering in his workshop, experimenting with different designs and trying to perfect his engine. Finally, in 1886, he created his masterpiece. But when he presented his invention to the public, they didn't believe him. People had been hearing about the internal combustion engine for decades, but no one had ever seen a vehicle powered by one. Mr. Benz's colleagues thought it was impossible. They said that the engine would never work, that the vehicle would never move. But Mr. Benz was determined to prove them wrong. He knew that his invention was revolutionary. It took him 400 attempts, but eventually he got it right. And once they saw it in action, people were astounded. But it wasn't just the engine that was amazing. It was also the design of the vehicle itself. It looked like a car, like the ones we drive today. It had 4 wheels, a steering wheel, and a seat. It was small, only 2.5 meters long, but it was fast. It could travel at speeds of up to 10 miles per hour, much faster than any horse-drawn carriage. There was only one problem, though. No one believed it. When he tried to get investors for his idea, they all turned him down. They said that his invention was impractical, that it would never work. But Mr. Benz was not giving up. He knew that his invention was the future, so he put all his savings into his company and started producing the first motor car. It wasn't easy, though. At first, the car didn't run smoothly. It broke down all the time and people were afraid to ride in it. But slowly, things started to improve. The engine became more powerful and reliable, and people began to see the potential of the motor car. One day, Mrs. Benz decided to take a drive in the motor car. She drove from Mannheim to Pforzheim, a distance of 54 miles. This was the first long-distance trip in a motor car, and it caught everyone's attention. People started to realize that Mr. Benz's invention was not just a toy. It was a serious invention that could revolutionize transportation. Soon, other inventors began to take notice. They saw the potential of the motor car and started to produce their own models. One of the most famous was the Ford Motor Company. Founded by Henry Ford in 1903, the Ford Motor Company began producing cars that were more affordable for the average person. This made the motor car even more popular, and soon they were everywhere. But it wasn't just the affordability of the cars that made them so popular. It was also the convenience. A motor car could travel much faster than a horse-drawn carriage, and it didn't require a driver. This meant that people could travel long distances without having to stop for rest stops along the way. And the benefits didn't stop there. The motor car also had an impact on other industries. For example, the oil industry boomed because now there was a huge demand for gasoline. The rubber industry also boomed because tires were in high demand. But some people were not happy with the invention of the motor car. They argued that it was dangerous, that it polluted the air, and that it caused traffic jams. But despite the naysayers, the motor car continued to grow in popularity. And today, it is one of the most important inventions of the 20th century. Have you ever wondered how the humble motor car managed to transform the world? Well, it all started with one man's vision. Carl Benz was a German engineer who had a dream of creating a vehicle that could be powered by an internal combustion engine. Back then, most people traveled by horse-drawn carriage, which was slow and inefficient. But Benz believed that the future lay in the internal combustion engine. He experimented with different designs, and finally in 1886, he created a vehicle that could travel at speeds of up to 10 miles per hour. This was a huge deal because at the time, a horse could only pull a carriage at around 4 miles per hour. But people didn't believe him. They thought that his invention was impossible until he proved them wrong. It took Benz several years to perfect his engine, but eventually he was able to create a car that ran smoothly and reliably. In 1894, his wife Bertha made a long-distance trip in the motor car, which helped to raise its profile and show the world that it was possible to travel by motor car. But Benz wasn't done yet. He continued to improve his design, and in 1901, he created a car that could reach speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. This was the first truly fast car, and it kicked off a revolution in the automotive industry. Other inventors began to take notice, and soon the market was flooded with different makes and models of cars. The Ford Motor Company, founded by Henry Ford in 1903, began producing cars that were more affordable for the average person. This made the motor car even more popular, and soon they were everywhere. Of course, the invention of the motor car had a huge impact on the world. It led to the growth of the oil and rubber industries, as well as the development of new technologies such as the electric starter and the windshield wiper. It also changed the way people lived, worked, and traveled. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were many people who were against the motor car. They argued that it was dangerous and caused traffic jams and noise pollution. But despite the naysayers, the motor car continued to grow in popularity and eventually became one of the most important inventions of the 20th century. If you're interested in learning more about the history of the motor car, I highly recommend checking out the Benz Museum in Germany. It's an amazing museum that showcases the history of the motor car from its early beginnings to the present day. So, what do you think? How has the motor car changed your life? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please remember to subscribe and like the video. Until next time, driving enthusiasts, keep accelerating.